All right, here we are. We are off trail
Off trail.
with Luke and Chandler.
Yep.
I'm Luke,
I'm Chandler.
and we're off trail. This is just supposed to be a new, silly, fun show
Yeah.
for us, you know?
Yeah.
A little more casual. We can just kind of kick back and talk about whatever we want to talk about in a less formal way. You know, we're not interviewing each other like we do on Bush Talk.
Yeah.
You know, if we mess up saying something, who cares?
Whatever, which will happen a lot because
You know,
I
because
always
Chandler,
mess up.
Chandler can't talk.
I barely know how to speak English, for being honest.
But you know, that's why we have a show like this.
Yep.
It'll be fun. You know?
Yeah,
So
it will be. I'm excited about this. So
yeah, and I think a good first thing to talk about, because you know it's November now, is that desert season
yeah,
has officially started.
yeah, we're in desert season.
Yeah.
So-
And you know it's kind of exciting because we try to, I guess, stay out of the desert most of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, now we're back.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Oh yeah.
So maybe the first thing that we could do, could you tell us about what desert season is? I think why we have a distinct season for
Yeah,
it.
a time period for it. I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding with it, because people think that we go down to the desert in the wintertime because it's not as warm, or it's not as cold as it is up here, and that's maybe part of it. But the desert still gets really cold.
Yeah, it's like 15 degrees.
It's like
at night.
15 degrees, like down in southern Utah right now. Some of the areas. I mean, you were just down in Arches.
I mean, it's basically that cold in our basement right now.
It feels like it. It's frigid down here. But no, there's more of a season for doing some of this desert stuff because of the lack of accessibility that we have to the mountains at this time. You know, up here in the Wasatch Mountains, they close a lot of the roads, and a lot of that stuff is not accessible right now after November. So it's like we can't go up there. I mean, we can go hike and stuff like that, but it's just
Well, but even hiking, you know, a lot of the trails are, I guess, maybe not officially closed, but like because it's ski season. Like
yeah,
the-
that's
this-
true. Yeah,
like
you
the
can't go hike around Alta and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
a
Like,
lot
it's-
of the trails are, you know, on the ski slope, so
Yeah.
you can't just go walk up through everyone.
Yeah. So it's just trickier hiking and going out and doing things here in the Wasatch and stuff, out here in the mountains. So
Yeah,
it's like might as well go down the desert, and then you're avoiding the 120 degree weather of the summer in the desert.
Yeah, like
So,
you're not stuck there midday.
Yeah.
You know, in the summer when it's 110.
Yeah, midday in the desert here in the wintertime is
like
35, 40
yeah,
degrees with the
like,
sun
yeah,
out.
This weekend it was like 35, 40. It was
Yeah.
I had a hoodie on and I was very comfortable.
Yeah, and that's
the
not
squatch
bad at
hoodie
all.
to be clear.
Love the squatch hoodie.
But yeah, like you can, you know, at least avoid some of that heat from the summer.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you also see at least somewhat fewer people down there as well. Like
Yeah.
say like Arches, you know, like I was there. I mean, it was a lot quieter than I was expecting. But like the summertime, I mean, I've seen photos. I hadn't been in the summer, but I've seen photos of it, and it's bedlam. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd ever want to go during that time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Zion, very similar thing. You know, if it's snowing down there, there's nobody there. We have a friend, Benji, who lives down there and close to Zion, and he's done a couple hikes there in the wintertime, and nobody wants to go there when it's snowing. Just because of it gets a little hairy.
Yeah.
You know, you can't go do Angel's Landing when it's snowing. Nobody wants to go
Well,
down
you
there.
can't. I think we should.
Benji does. But
'cause
Benji's a real bushwhacker.
He is a real bushwhacker.
So, but yeah, no, it's just easier to go do things in the desert in the wintertime than it is here in the mountains. So,
Yeah, it's enjoyable. Like honestly, you
Yeah.
know? And it doesn't mean like you said we won't. It's not like we stop going up in the mountains. We did a few winter hikes last year. I mean,
Yeah.
we already did one this year.
Yeah.
The first snow of the year we went
yeah,
to
you
Lake
guys went
Blanche,
and did Blanche, yeah.
and like that was epic.
I
mean, yeah, you missed out, bro.
I'm so bummed that I wasn't able to go on that. I like
Yeah.
the whole time because I had drill that day, and the whole time I was sitting in the office, I was like, those guys are up there probably have. I could see the snow up on the mountain. I could see that storm rolling through. I was like, those guys are probably having
Yeah.
either a horrible time or an epic time, and it sounds like it was kind of both.
Oh, I mean, you know, like it's one thing is like you're hiking through basically a foot and a half of fresh powder the whole way up because no one had been on the trail yet.
Yeah, you guys were the first.
Literally the
You
first
hit the
ones.
first snowstorm.
Yeah, like it snowed Saturday night and into Sunday morning, and we went Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Like we were literally the first ones. Like the
Yeah.
trail was not like cleared, you know, whatever, like patted down. yet. Like we made the trail.
Yeah.
And like that was a really cool experience. First time I've ever done something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, so like part of it did suck because like going through fresh powder, you have to work harder to actually hike and get up. Especially once you get close to the top, it gets obviously just even colder.
Yeah.
So like that was brutal, and my gloves got wet that day. Like I have like I don't know what material it is, but they like just retain water, and because like we were brushing snow off everything, like my gloves just end up getting wet.
Yeah.
That hike, and so my gloves aren't doing anything for me at that point, so my hands are just freezing. And there's no way to really get warm.
Which that's the worst.
Yeah, so we got up to the top, and like I could hardly feel my hands. So
Yeah.
I didn't get my camera out for
that's
a shot.
that's like staying warm 101 is to stay dry.
Yeah, and
So-
like it sucks because I would have loved to have a shot with my camera. I took a quick phone pic, and that's what I posted on Instagram. But I would have loved to get a shot with my camera. But like, it's also one of those things too. It was very nice to not have to force that.
Yeah.
And just to enjoy being there for what it was, because it was truly the most epic thing I have ever done.
Yeah.
And that was a cool feeling.
Yeah.
And just to get to sit up at the top and look at the peak being shrouded in a layer of like fog and snow, like that was awesome.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, I'm bummed I didn't get like a good high quality, high megapixel photo, but like I'm over it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like the experience just trumps any photo.
Yeah,
then Bryce got a totally epic photo that.
Well, and I think the thing is like, yes, like Bryce got some really cool photos of like people walking up. Will got a photo of me walking up, which I think is probably the coolest photo of me I've ever gotten to see.
Yeah.
But like, I think the thing to take away from it is it's not necessarily about coming away from that trip with a photo. It's about coming away from that trip with a story.
Yeah.
Because that's now something I can literally take with me everywhere I go. I can show everyone, or not show, but tell everyone about that. And that's super cool.
Yeah.
And, in a way that helps you connect with people a bit better because now you're actually telling stories instead of just saying, hey, look at this photo I took.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It was a cool experience, to say the least.
Yeah. No, that's just super cool. You're especially doing this. I've started like starting to appreciate this kind of like photography and stuff more, but this stuff that's very more like lifestyle and tells a story and is kind of driven more by that kind of a subject rather than just an epic landscape. There's just something so much cooler to that. And then, I don't know, going out and taking photos of. I mean, I love landscape photography, obviously.
Yeah.
Like that's my favorite kind of photography. But there's something truly special about doing stuff that tells more of a story than just a picture of a mountain.
Yeah, it's more meaningful.
It's way more meaningful.
Like
Yeah.
there's a lot more packed into a story than there is in just one photo.
Yeah.
Not that a photo can't tell the story.
It
but,
totally can. Yeah.
But I think we're getting a little off track because we're talking about the
We
mountains and the
did.
snow. We're supposed
Yeah.
to be talking about desert season. So
Yeah.
let's backtrack a bit. So we're kind of at the very beginning of desert season here now, and we already said like why we go down there. It's maybe about the same temperature but less people. You can enjoy the desert a little bit better, at least during the day.
Yeah.
And even sunset and sunrise, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Night, it
Especially-
gets cold, but
Yeah.
but yeah. So desert season, and we look to go down there a little bit more often now for the next 4 or 5 months.
Yeah,
through
at least
spring, kind
at
of.
least until through April at least. So or through March.
Yeah, which is
So-
fun because for the most part we are not looking to go down there in the summer. So it's been a while. Excuse me. It's been a while since we've gotten to really go see some of those places.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's refreshing in a way. You get a change of scenery. It's kind of it's a fun thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like this weekend, I kind of kicked off desert season by going down to Arches, and that was my first time really doing Arches.
Which is crazy because you've lived here for how long?
Almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's coming up in 2 years, and I hadn't done Arches yet, and that's like, I guess maybe the stereotypical thing that like people think about Utah. It's like,
Think
oh,
Delicate
Arches.
Arch, yeah.
Yeah, like I mean it's on our license plates.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a very Utah thing to do, and I just hadn't done it yet. I mean, we went in the park that one day back last February for sunrise just to do a quick photo, and it was an overcast day. There wasn't much to it, and it was fine, but like we just did Sanding Arch, and that was it, and we got out. So it wasn't really like doing the park.
Yeah.
But this time I got to do, I would say maybe about 60 to 70% of what's there.
Yeah, you experienced a good chunk of what's in that park. So
yeah, so it was a good experience, especially to check it off the list. And, I know it's a place that we will definitely go back to because we'll take groups there.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to do. And there's decent enough camping around Moab that you can find stuff easy. So it's just a good option to have in our bag if we want to go somewhere.
And it's not too far, 3.5 hours.
No, I was going to say Moab. So the other thing about Moab is it's really cool. Like when you're driving down there, you hardly use any gas.
Yeah. It's like all downhill.
Yeah, it's like all downhill. Like I think I only used like a third of a tank on my truck.
It's really nice.
And I was like, oh, this is sweet. Like I literally only filled up twice the entire trip. Right before I left, and then right before I left to go down there, and then right before I left to come back up.
That's insane.
Literally the only times I filled up for gas.
Huh.
So, I mean, it was great. I mean, my only expense for the entire trip was gas.
That's nice. That's really nice.
So, I mean, it was maybe, like $100?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't full tanks either time.
Yeah.
It was maybe 3/4 tank each time. So, like $100, $110
Yeah.
for the whole trip. Like, that's pretty sweet.
That's not bad at all. I think people, I was like this, for most of my life, when I would think about doing trips. I'm sure you're the same. I think we've had conversations about this. When we think about doing a drive that's 3 hours long, it's like, oh my gosh, that's so far, and that's horrible. That's gonna take up my whole day, and it's like that's 3 hours, and it's really not bad.
Yeah.
So if you kind of get over that, all of a sudden everything becomes accessible.
It's fair game. I mean, so it's funny. Like before I moved out here, living in Indiana, and being from Illinois where I grew up, it was about a 4-hour drive to get back to my childhood home where I was living in Fort Wayne. And like I never wanted to do the drive.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's 4 hours. Like it's so long. And now it's like, okay, I'll do that on a whim.
Yeah.
To go to one of these places.
It does help too that Utah's really scenic.
No, it's obviously it's nice, but it's funny how things change like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now it's like, 4 hours is nothing.
Yeah.
And it's so worth it. Like it's always worth it to go see some like these places. But that's like what the desert does to you, I guess. It's like you go see these things and you're like, yeah, I'm going.
I need more of it. That's why we keep going back. That's why we keep going back to a lot of the same spots too. Is it's just you go there and you have. I mean, there's several spots down in southern Utah where the first time I ever went there, it was like, this is an amazing experience. Like it was life changing. And then you want to keep going down there and experiencing that. Every single time you go there, it's like, I don't know how to explain it really.
Well, it's like everywhere we've gone and everything I've ever gotten to see, like the desert, everywhere we go down the desert, it's just some of the coolest places that you could possibly go to.
Yeah.
And like, now that we've done that, it's like, why would you want to stay at home on the weekend when you could go there?
I know. It's,
Even if you're not taking photos, it's like just to be immersed in these environments, in these locations, some of which make you feel like you're on a whole other planet.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Like, there's nothing that would beat that if I stayed at home.
No.
And so it's like, if I can, if you can afford it and all that, timing works out, it's like, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And like, it's fun because we just take people there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not too far or anything. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about arches.
Yeah.
Because again, my first time being, and I've avoided telling you at least enough about my experience there, just because we want to save it for this.
Yeah, and I've been curious to hear your full thoughts on arches because we've talked about it a little bit before.
Yeah,
just based on your limited experience.
Well, we talked about it, about what I thought about the park and everything, but that was before I'd ever gone. Like I'm just basically assuming what I would think about it. Yeah, and so now I have. I guess a more well-formed opinion. Yeah. So my thoughts on arches. I think the best way to start, if I'm ranking the 5 national parks in Utah, and it is tough because I still haven't really done much in Capitol Reef. So I'm kind of going off an assumption of where I think it's going to land. But if I'm ranking the 5, Arches falls to the number 4 spot.
Mm-hmm.
And that changed this weekend.
Yeah.
Initially, before I left, I thought Arches was going to be 5.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I had it.
You were not
big on Arches.
Not much of a fan of it.
And I know that's could be an unpopular opinion with a lot of people. But I wasn't a fan. I don't know. It's like, it's not impressive, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, you drive through the park, and it's like, I don't know, I guess I expected there to be arches everywhere.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it sounds like.
And it's like...
There's a lot of arches, but it's like... Yeah, that was kind of my first experience, too. When I first went, you come into the park, you drive up the big cliffside and whatnot, and you go around the bend.
It's a cool drive.
It's a really cool drive.
The beginning of it there.
Yeah, and you have all the big towers and everything. Three Sisters, or whatever it's called. There's all the cool
you get
features.
into like Park Avenue and Courthouse Towers. That's sweet. It's a good little drive.
Yeah,
but
after, then there's a section of it where it's just like there's almost nothing. You just feel like you're out in the desert.
It's weird.
It's just
like it's not what I expected.
Yeah.
A national park to be like is really what it comes down to, and that's initially that's why we had done the sand dunes, so I knew what it looked like at least, and that's why I was like, oh, this is going to be the worst national park in Utah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I think it's tough too because you're comparing it to like Canyonlands and Zion, where it's like these places are
immaculate.
They're incredible. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So going in, I thought Arches was going to be 5.
Yeah.
And after doing windows and double arch the first morning, Saturday morning, for sunrise and a little after sunrise, and more so, honestly, I think it was like when I was standing under double arch, I realized that this arch in particular, which might be my favorite in the park, is impressive.
That's a cool arch. Yeah.
That's impressive. It's huge.
When Bryce and I went there, we sat under that arch for, 20 minutes, just kind of hanging out.
Yeah. No, like when I was under that arch, I think that's when it clicked for me, and I was like, okay, this isn't 5.
Yeah.
Like, arches should be 4.
Yeah.
And then I realized that if I'm moving arches up to 4, that means, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion too.
You're kind of honestly like putting any Utah national park at the bottom is.
But it's only of the Utah 5 parks. But unpopular opinion, I think Bryce Canyon is the worst national park in Utah.
I would agree with that.
And I never thought I would say that.
Yeah.
But here I am. And it's tough because it's like the reason I say that is because it's so small.
Yeah.
And like you can get the gist of it in 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, that's what. Yeah, we did. I mean, we went and did the whole. I can't think what the name of the loop is.
Navajo Loop.
Navajo Loop. I mean, we were there for 3 or 4 hours, and we eventually just got bored. It's like, all right, we've seen this, and it's cool. Bryce Canyon's really cool.
It is very cool. I'm not saying it's not cool.
Yeah. Well, that's the tricky part about all the Utah national parks is, if you look at all of the national parks in the United States, all of the Utah ones are easily at the top of the list.
Yeah.
But if you're comparing all the Utah ones to each other, it's a little tricky.
It's hard because you'll start to notice the differences.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Bryce Canyon is 5 now. But we're here to talk about arches, so we'll stick to
stay on arches. Yeah.
For now, but arches I think it's not bad. The thing I think that stuck out to me especially when comparing arches to Bryce is that I feel like for the photo opportunity, arches has a lot more potential.
Yeah.
I thought Bryce could be a little tough to shoot and get interesting photos and things that look different and all that. But
Bryce is really dependent on like time of day and stuff too. It's like you can't shoot Bryce in midday, no clouds.
Yeah, that's also true.
Good photo. Like I tried it, and that's maybe part of why I didn't enjoy Bryce as much. Was we were there at 1 p.m, and it was clear blue skies, not a cloud in the sky, and it's harsh. It was. We didn't even pull out our cameras. Like we got to the park, and we were just like.
Yeah, I've been twice, and I really haven't shot it much.
Yeah. I have seen really cool. There's some photos I really want to get in Bryce that are really cool. Yeah. And I really want to get.
But so arches, there's just all the different arches that you can shoot. Windows, turret, double, sand dune, delicate. I didn't do Devil's Garden, but there's a ton back there. Tower. There's a ton of different things you can go shoot, and like that makes it more fun.
Yeah.
and something you could look forward to. So I was like, you know what? I think it deserves a little bump.
Yeah.
So I gave it that. It's back to 4.
What's 3? That Capitol Reef?
3's Capitol Reef.
Okay.
Again,
We'll talk about that later.
I'm
but-
assuming I haven't really done much besides
Yeah.
Cathedral Valley, but I think it'll be.
I think
it's a solid 3.
I think it's I mean, from my list, and I've been to all of them.
Yeah.
It's at 3.
I
I've been to
think it's a
Capitol Reef a
solid
few
3.
times. So
Yeah. So that was my experience at Arches.
Yeah.
It was a little different because normally when we go out, we're taking not necessarily large groups, but a group of 4 to 6 people or
Yeah.
so.
You spent most of that trip by
Alone.
yourself.
Yeah. So
Which I thought was, I didn't realize you were going. I mean, obviously, like Travis met up with you at some point, but and Taylor and Jack, but like, I didn't realize you were going to go down and spend the first part of it by yourself.
yeah,
That's something that I would do.
Well-
so I didn't see you doing that.
So the interesting thing was, I wasn't alone because I didn't ask anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think I asked 15 people if
Yeah.
they wanted to go, and no one could go.
Yeah.
Like literally, Travis was the only one that was going to be able to make Saturday.
Yeah.
No one could go Friday. Travis was the only one that could go Saturday, and then Taylor. I didn't know Jack was going to come, which was fun that he was able to join. But Taylor said he's like, I can come Sunday, and I was like, oh, okay, not even Saturday.
Yeah.
But it worked out great. It was fun. But so I got to spend most of Saturday alone in Arches. I mean, I was there at sunrise, stayed till sunset, and Travis had showed up, I don't know, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And so I did most of that park alone. I did, windows, turret, and double arch in the morning, like at sunrise. Went over, looked at Balanced Rock, which was neat, and then went up Park Avenue, came back down, and then just went to go check out the Delicate Arch, like viewpoint. Didn't do the trail then.
Mm-hmm.
And then went and did the Broken Arch loop over by Sand Dune, which was cool. I don't know how long it was.
Yeah.
I was out there for a little while, but I did most of that and started to go back to Tapestry Arch, but I didn't finish that just because of time, because I knew Travis was coming.
Yeah.
And then came back and Travis showed up, but like I did all that solo, and it was
Yeah.
it was fun. It was different, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was different because like it felt like it was slower.
Mm-hmm.
When we're with so many people, it feels like you're always rushing.
Yeah.
And not that that's a bad thing, but it's just like there's always people to talk to. There's always things to do. Everyone's excited.
Mhm.
There's a different energy
Yeah.
with it. But solo, it's like I just felt like I had all the time in the world,
Yeah.
and I almost didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. That's why I partially love some of the solo trips that I've done, because like I did a trip to Southern Utah and Arizona last year for almost 2 weeks by myself. Back in March, I did almost a week in Oregon and California by myself, and I don't know, I love doing solo trips. They're super fun. You slow down, spend time with yourself.
That's important.
It's important.
Yeah, it's
So,
important.
yeah.
But so here, I have a question for you,
Yeah,
and you have no idea what I'm about to ask, which is
I know
fun.
you were teasing this earlier, and I'm
I like to do this to you.
yeah.
Keep you on your toes. But what are your top 5 things in Arches?
Ooh. It's funny. I was thinking to ask you the same question.
Oh,
So,
great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Pains me to compliment you. but-
Yeah, I know. Top 5. I think maybe Double Arch might be my favorite. I don't know. It's a tie between Double and Delicate, so we'll give those two the top 2.
Okay.
I really like Turret Arch. I think Turret Arch is just really cool.
It's cool looking.
It's cool looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, I think that would put that at number 3. What else? I really like Sand Dune Arch. It's small. It's it's kind of tucked away and stuff, but I think it's really cool. And then I think probably Park Avenue.
So
So-
Park Ave is definitely my top 5. I think
Yeah.
it's neat.
It's super cool.
Like doing the hike through it.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't ready for it, but it was actually pretty neat.
Yeah.
And even shooting it, I don't know if I think it's a little harder to really shoot it well.
Yeah, I've seen some
from
shots.
the ground, but
Yeah.
like it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I was gonna put that in mine too, and I
Yeah.
don't know if you're gonna be expecting that or not.
Yeah.
But I would say
I think it's. I mean, well, when Bryce and I went there, we spent a good chunk of time at Park Ave, like just hanging out and stuff, and that little area is just really cool. So
yeah, I would say my list is probably a little similar. I'd put double
yeah,
at
you
the
said
one
doubles at
spot.
your one. Yeah.
I don't know. I was really impressed by the size of that.
It's huge.
It was really really cool.
Yeah.
So that's probably one. Delicate is two, and it's just tough because like you can't put that low because it's like the iconic arch.
Yeah.
It's the arch.
And it's cool. So
Yeah, and it's cool, and the hike's not bad. So that's two. 3 for me is probably Sand Dune. I just think that's neat.
yeah.
I think what I like about Sand Dune too is that it offers really good photo potential.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Like it's a really good frame.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. 4 is probably Park Ave.
Mm-hmm.
I think Park Ave was neat to walk through. It's just a good little hike. And then I think I'd put windows above turret,
Mm-hmm.
only because I don't know. I guess I like that classic. I don't know if it's classic, but it feels like it's a classic shot of like looking through window to turret arch,
Yeah.
and I think that's a cool shot.
Yeah.
But I'll say this too. The broken arch loop was honestly really nice as well.
Was it?
Yeah, and I wasn't totally expecting that.
Was that the one where you ran into the deer?
Yeah. So get this. I ran into deer in Arches National Park, and I was not anticipating that at
Yeah.
all.
Who would have thought that they were? I mean, like those kind of like not antelope.
No,
but
they were
like
deer.
Deer with like antlers.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah, it wasn't a
stuff you'd
pronghorn.
see,
Yeah. I mean it was a full-fledged deer.
Yeah.
Male and female, and the buck had a huge rack on it too.
Which is weird.
Yeah. Like
I mean, I know there's deer up in the mountains by Moab, like the LaSalle Mountains. I know there's deer up there, but I
Yeah.
didn't realize that they came down.
No,
into
so I was
arches.
I had just gotten past Broken Arch, where right about that trail splits off to go to Tapestry Arch, and I was just kind of looking around, minding my own business, and I just happened to look up at the trail, and 20 feet in front of me, there's 2 deer,
Yeah.
and it scared me real quick because I was like, oh, deer.
Yeah. We don't expect to see
Yeah,
deer in
I-
Arches National Park.
No,
yeah.
not there at all. And they just walked by, and it was no problem. And I started down the Tapestry Arch Trail, and eventually turned back because of time. But literally the same thing happened again. Those same 2 deer got right in front of the trail as I wasn't looking, and then they scared me again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ran into 2 deer in the back of Arches, and like that was the last thing I thought I'd see.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, like, if there's what other wildlife there could be out there. I mean, I
Yeah.
assume there's coyotes because there's
There's
coyotes
definitely-
everywhere.
Yeah, there's definitely coyotes.
But no, I don't know. That was a neat experience. I mean, I didn't get a photo of them or anything. But,
Yeah.
But it was definitely something I was not anticipating
yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So
Yeah. Well, I think that wraps it up for
Yeah.
desert season, right?
Yeah.
This little episode.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, let's sign off here. And I guess for everyone at home, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel because, you can get more stuff like this. It notifies you when we launch it. So
Hit the bell.
hit the bell, like
That's
this
what
video.
that's what the YouTubers say.
Yeah.
And I guess we're
We're still working
Yeah.
on our vocabulary for that.
yeah
but
we're
we'll get
not
it.
we don't know what we're doing. But
No, clearly we don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, there it is. We'll
Yeah.
see you later.
Okay. Bye.